All right. I think
Yawn.
so. Good evening, everybody. This is my name is Tony Downs. This is my brother Tommy Downs. We are going to go ahead and introduce ourselves to you guys and talk a little bit about Dugout Talk and this podcast and why we actually started this podcast and why we think it's so important to get this information out to all of our parents and athletes out there and anybody else that wants to kind of listen. So I'll start it off first, Tommy. Once again, my name is Tony Downs. Welcome to Dugout Talk with the Downs Bros. I'm thrilled to be co-hosting this podcast with my brother Tommy. I'm the owner and founder of TAC College Recruitment with 37 years of experience as a coach, hitting, and catching instructor. I've dedicated my whole career helping baseball and softball players reach their full potential. Over the last 30 years, I've worked with countless players and their families, guiding them through the challenging process of finding the right college to play at. I started TAC College Recruitment because only 5% of baseball and softball players actually get recruited in college, leaving 95% without those opportunities, and they work their butt off their whole life to play in college. My mission is to change this statistic drastically and help more players find the right college to showcase their talents. And this is exactly why I created TAC College Recruitment. And I am going to turn over to my brother, Tommy. Here you go, buddy.
Hey, guys doing? Tommy here. 26 years of coaching baseball and softball. Currently, I am a collegiate softball coach. Have 7 years under my belt now within 2 universities. Broken 20 school records. Countless recruiting top athletes in the last 7 years. I would call myself a master recruiter. I know that's kind of cheesy to say, but I think that my records in my 2 universities of kind of the stands for itself of the athletes I've brought in for the NAIA level that I've been at. I mean, we're always trying to bring in better than what we have, and that's kind of been my pull. My brother and I really want to use this platform, for education purposes. I mean, the recruiting piece is such a big deal, and there's so much misinformation out there, and that I want to give back. My brother and I both want to give back to this with all of our years, with experience with both sides of recruiting and coaching. So we're really excited to get this started, and this has been a long time coming.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. It's funny because, together, we have over 50 years kind of, in this industry. You have, a daughter that played softball and in softball in college, and my boys played, baseball in college, and those guys are chasing the same dream. But it's tough. The grind is real, and one of the biggest reasons why I even started TAC College Recruitment was because of the process that I have with my kids and working with other parents and their kids, and them just not having an idea on how to actually go about getting recruited. They thought I could just go play at some of these college coaching event or college events and get seen and get found, but there's thousands of kids out there and only about 30 or 40 coaches. So a lot of those kids aren't getting found.
Well, even on the high school side of it, think about how many baseball and softball players think that they're going to get seen at high school games. I mean, it's a very small, minute amount of college coaches that even go to those events unless it's like a playoff. I mean, it's such a difficult task. People think that, they're going to be seen, and realistically, there's a lot of different avenues you have to take to get, in front of college coaches, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yes. Take those statistics are real. Let's just say 10% of 10 players on the team, that's the starting 9 plus 1. Only one's going to college.
Yeah.
And those are facts, hard facts. And we'll get into that real quick because I want to talk to you about more of the college recruiting aspect, kind of what you're looking for, and kind of go into the kind of intricate part of that, because I think it's important. I think it's important we talk about this on the first part of our podcast here together. But I just want to say that we're dedicated to bringing the audience the insights they crave from the esteemed voices in baseball and softball community. This podcast, we're going to share our insights, experiences, professional opinions, strategies to help players and families navigate the world of college recruiting and what it takes to play at the next level. and we're gonna interview, coaches and hopefully some professional coaches and athletes and some Hall of Famers, on, hopefully both sides of the ball, um, and some other notable figures. We aim to ask other questions that resonate with most players and parents alike. Our goal is to provide invaluable perspectives and advice that inspire and inform our listeners, our parents and our players. And stay tuned as we, elevate conversations, develop deeper into the world of baseball and softball with our guests. And we're currently trying to put together that guest list. We have a long one. I mean, we have several people that we're going to interview, and hopefully we can get this podcast out each week and have a different guests each week to kind of talk about what we're going to talk about tonight a little bit, and that's the recruiting process, playing at the next level. What our coaches look at in a player that's so vital that a lot of these kids are misinformed, and I'm going to turn that over to you, Tommy. So let me ask you a question.
Okay.
When you go to a softball field, whether it's a tournament, a college showcase, whatever it is, and you walk up to the field, as you're walking up to the field, because you and I have had several conversations about this, what are some of your turnoffs? What really frustrates you as a coach?
Well, a few that stand out immediately when I walk up to the field is a lot of times I see kids that they're not focused, they're not there for softball, and that's a first turnoff to where I'm not going to buy into that. I don't want to invest my money into somebody that's not going to be focused and try to be prepared for the game. Like pre-game, if I see people on their phones, I shake my head and I'm like, are you really in on this? I mean, you have college coaches that want to buy your future basically, and you're showing very little interest in your game, and it's truly tough to see. I think the big disconnect that we don't we have an issue with today in all sports really is parents letting their kids just enjoy the journey on their own and letting the parents be cheerleaders. And unfortunately there's a lot of parent coaches, and like I said, I was one of those, you were one of those, and there is some pros and cons to them, but at the end of the day, when the player gets onto the field, it should be only softball and about their oasis and their time there and nothing else.
Or baseball.
Yeah, or baseball. And I often see parents still connecting, bringing them food, bringing them water during the games, when I see that as a college coach, I'm thinking, are they prepared on their own? Are they going to be able to handle this without mom and dad? Because the next level, everything's on them.
And they could be thousands of miles away, right?
Yeah. I mean, the preparation and, preparing for, 2 games, whatever it is a big deal, and again, I know at the next level, there's a lot of those things provided, but still there just is not that contact. And then I don't see enough withdrawal, and I get it. As a parent, I totally get it. It's just a turnoff for coaches because nobody wants to deal with parents, any issues. Nobody wants that. They don't have time for it.
Yeah, that's a great point, and I kind of want to touch on that as well, because I tried to be that dad. My wife is on me about that. I just wanted to be the guy that sits in the stands and watches my kids play, but with all my knowledge and all the years with my experience, I had to be on the field with my kids, and it wasn't just my kids; it was everybody else's kids, and almost to a fault that I actually coached. I was coaching these kids and wasn't given enough time of my own.
100%.
But there's a fine line there, and as coaches, whether you're coaching your kid, you all know out there, it's tough. It is tough to coach your own kid. Every time I've ever coached my kids, it was, you answer to the other coach. You don't answer to me during the game, because, again, I didn't want the attitude, because I know when they're, pouting or pissed off or whatever. So I wasn't going to take it. You know what I mean? So it was just better that way. That way there was no favoritism. I don't believe in that.
Yeah.
That's my kids. I was tough on them. I know you absolutely were. My kids actually had to play harder and earn it more than the other kid. I straight up sit them on the bench. I didn't play that game, and neither did you. But again, a lot of parents, coaches, they don't do that, and that's why they call it, travel ball, daddy ball, whatever.
Daddy ball, yeah.
Yeah, that's tough. But you parents that are listening out there, listen exactly what Coach Downs is saying here, because it's true. I mean, you gotta let go. You gotta let your kids make mistakes. And you know what? Mistakes are okay. We look at those mistakes and it's okay. It doesn't bother us when they make errors and things like that. We know that this isn't where they're going to be at the next level.
Well, Tony, yeah, I know you brought that up. I want to touch on that real quick. One of the things I'm looking at, especially when I come to the field, one of the biggest things I'm focusing on is I want to see people after they've failed. I want to see what they're doing, how they react to it, what they do, because that's going to tell me what kind of athlete I'm dealing with. Because if you can't flush and move on to the next play, it's going to affect it. And then you're just going to go down the rabbit hole, and then you're eventually even pulled out. And that's just, I'm looking for that control of, hey, can I take 10 seconds to go? I did this. Okay, I'm moving forward. And that's a big deal. That's exactly what I'm looking for.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a good point. Let's say you go out to a field. How often do you see that? How often do you see these kids fail and they can't let it go? And
yeah, I mean, I often see with that, I'll see kids shake their head or put their head down, or they'll walk off the field, or they'll walk, into a certain area. I'm just like, high school coaches, travel ball coaches, parents should be saying this behavior just cannot happen. And again, some of it's just being young and not fighting through their emotions. And it's hard to fight that, but it also sells.
Or your coaching staff doesn't hold you accountable.
Yeah,
right?
that too. Absolutely.
And I mean, I can't tell you how many times you and I have been to the field and we were watching a young player, whether it was baseball or softball, throughout the years, and they make an error and they can't shake it, and then they walk off the field, or they don't hustle off the field, or they strike out and they turn, their head goes down and they start walking. And I'm just like, we've walked away. And these are athletes that you were high on. You even had conversations with.
Or reached out to me and I came out to watch, and I'm like, that's what you're showing me. And it's hard.
And you wrote them off.
You might only get that one opportunity and you just wasted it. It's gone.
You wrote them off. Absolutely.
Yeah, and it sucks. I feel bad, but I mean, nobody has time for that. Nobody has time.
Yeah. I mean, they just, again, you guys, you parents and athletes out there, if you're listening to this, it's the one thing that you can control is your attitude. One thing you can't control is, what you do next. And your coaches can't, they can be on you and they can hold you accountable, but it's up to you. And showing physical emotions a big no-no. If you want to play at the next level and you want that starting spot, you can't do that, because you're going to strike out. You're going to get out. This is the most fallible sport in all sports. So we know you're going to get out.
Yeah. I mean, what other sports do you know you can go 3 for 10 and still be a stud? You go 3 for 10 in basketball shooting, you ain't playing. Yeah. That's just life.
Yeah. How about you go 0 for 5 with 4 strikeouts, yet you hit a bomb to win the game?
Yeah. I mean,
forget about 4 strikeouts.
Yeah.
I forgot about them already.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, it's again, physical emotion just can't happen. So, you athletes out there, you gotta listen to Coach Downs and what he's saying. And I'm going to bring something else up that kind of bothers me when I'm walking out there with you or another coach and we're out there recruiting. But when I see parents, carrying their players' bags or their son or daughter's bags, and they're doing this, and their kids are on the phone walking into the dugout, man, I lose it. I'm just like, okay, keep walking. That kid could have been 6'4", 200 pounds and hits 500-foot bombs, but that's a big turnoff for me, man, because that's the kind of character that you're getting. That's the kind of person that you're going to get when you offer them money. And I don't want any of that. I know you don't, and I know a lot of our friends, coaches out there, that don't want any of that either.
So I'm sure it's in the high 80 percentile that people, that's how college coaches are. They see that, they're like, not interested.
Yeah. I mean, why get taken off that list before you even get put on the list? You know what I mean?
It's already hard enough to get recruited as it is. So making it harder for yourself doing that just almost blows my mind. And Tony, that's why you and I talked about doing this so long ago, is people need to hear this verbiage. They need to understand this. We'll have college coaches on here. We'll have other coaches on here to talk about that, because it's a daily life for us. We see that every day. And it makes me sad to know I'm crossing people off my list. But the great thing about baseball and softball is there's thousands of athletes out there. Thousands.
Yeah. Yeah, let's get into that because I know just a few of the coaches that we already have kind of lined up. They're gonna the stories, I can't wait for the stories. I can't wait for their perspective and them sharing, these guys sharing all that information. And that's just not you and I talking like we're all the all be whatever for this thing. It's not about you and I, it's reality. And so I'm excited to have these guys share that. But let's get into real quick to the this travel ball era and these kids playing at these tournaments where they're supposed to be out there for a college showcase, and these coaches are want to win at all costs, when really you're not there. It's not the win, it's actually getting these kids seen, getting them some field time and talking to the coaches, and then getting them to the next level. That's their job. Their job is to get them on the field and get them exposure.
Yeah, Tony. I mean, you and I have talked about this, but a few stories I'd love to share about that is I've actually had players say, "Hey, I'm at this tournament. I'm gonna be the starting pitcher, first game on this day." I'm like, great. I'm gonna come out and see you. I go out there, they're not playing.
And it's not the kid's fault.
And I'm like, this is a showcase. Yeah, this is a showcase. Nobody's winning anything. Yeah. This is a showcase. So I'm like, I'm here. Your coach knows I'm here to see you play, and you're not playing.
Yeah.
Or you're only in for one inning. And I'm like, that's tough. I mean, that's tough.
So yeah, because you've actually scheduled your whole day. Let's talk about that real quick. You're out there. Let's say we're at a college showcase. We know that there's hundreds of teams out there, thousands of kids, right? And you have a list before you go out to that tournament. And you've already scheduled your times, your fields. You're out there. You're not out there for 45 minutes on each field, are you?
No. I'm moving and grooving like crazy.
The whole time, right?
I mean, and matter of fact, usually my schedule is so packed that I'm going to miss people just because I don't have the time. So in reality, anybody that stops me, anybody that makes me bite, it's going to change a lot of that schedule. So there's pros and cons to it. But again, like we talk about all the time, you might only get one opportunity. So
if you get it.
Yeah. I mean, that's even a tough fight. That's a tough fight.
Yeah.
You and I recently were walking by a field that we were not even talking to anybody on either field. And we just happened to see somebody pregame warming up. And we were like, what is this? And we were already heading over to go see somebody else play. So what did we do? We had to stop and we had to watch. Fortunately for me is I ended up recruiting her just on pregame.
Hey, let's talk about that though. Because when we were walking by, this was so funny. Here we are looking at all these kids, all these teams. We're having.
We had three players on one field to go see. Yeah. So we were hustling over there.
Yeah. And all of a sudden, Tommy's walking ahead of me, and I stopped, and I was like, "Did I just see this freaking missile go by on the diamond?" And I was like, "T, get over here. Check this out." And I look, and she's playing third base. She fields a ball. This is a pregame. This is between innings. And then just throws missiles across the diamond. Haven't seen her hit. Haven't seen her anything else.
Nothing.
Just her arm.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, we got to go down there. We got to go talk to the coach. Well, the coach was her dad, actually.
Yeah, we didn't know that until after about halfway through our conversation.
Yeah, we didn't know that until halfway through.
He didn't divulge that at all. He waited until I said, well, who's her mom and dad? And he was like, well, actually, I'm her dad. Yeah.
Then we ended up seeing her in like Vegas, right?
Yep. Then we saw her again.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of,
it was it.
And but luck, but it helped.
Hadn't we seen what we saw? And that's another conversation we'll have later about just what we see, just recruiting on just a fluke like that. It happens. It absolutely happens. That's why we always say when you're on the field, you have every opportunity to show off, and you show off, right? We're not talking about take the hot dog out of your pocket and stuff like that. We're talking about show off the cannon.
Yeah.
If you throw the ball over their head, you throw it over their head, that shows arm strength. You throw it below their feet or below their knees, that is a show arm strength. So I'd rather see arm strength all day and twice on Sunday. And I know you would too.
Sure. How many camps have we been at where we've told the athletes, hey, you might only get one opportunity. So when you step on this field, everything you do has got to be 100%, and you have to risk for the reward. You have to show your skills. Walking in a tournament does nothing for college coaches.
How about
You know,
how about letting a ball drop right in front of you at a college showcase?
it's tough, man. It's tough. It's tough.
I'm like,
I mean, it's tough, and that's why I always instill with these campers that we get when we go to these camps. Hey, you guys have got to sell out. You got to. I don't care if you throw that thing over the backstop. You just throw that dang thing hard. Show something. Show.
make me want to turn back around and have a conversation with you.
I mean, I would ask parents and players this right now. This would be my thing. If you were a coach, what would draw your eye? It's going to be the one that never stops running, talking, and is just high motor constantly. That sells. Hustling off and on the field sells.
How many times have we talked
every day?
Yeah, how many times have we talked to parents and they're giving their kid's resume to us or whatever, and they're hitting 450 and they're blah blah blah, but yet they're still not signed and they're a senior in like June. And we're like, how did they not sign? Well, guess what? They just fell under the radar. There's thousands and thousands of kids. Just because your coach puts you on the field.
Yeah.
Just because your coach puts you on the field doesn't mean you're going to get recruited.
No. I mean, I probably have talked to 10 players in the last 2 weeks, and they're trying to go to college this fall, and they have less than a month.
That's another podcast on its own.
Yeah, it's nuts.
We could spend a good hour literally talking about that. And it's not the player's fault, and that's what hurts our hearts. And that's honestly, man, that's exactly why we're putting this podcast together and trying to get so much information out to these players and parents so they don't have that struggle. So they can find, that school that fits them. Let's be honest, there's over 1,700 softball colleges, 1,700 baseball colleges out there. And there's a college for everybody. But how many of those college coaches get to actually have a budget to go travel and find these kids?
Yeah, that's another issue. Yeah, there's another issue. Yeah.
I mean, it's minute. How many college coaches do you think? Well, let's just say this. What's the most you've ever seen at a college showcase?
You mean college coaches?
Yeah.
I mean, outside of the Colorado Firecracker and Sparkler, I would say 80, maybe.
That's not normal.
No, I mean, that's a big tournament.
Right? That's okay, that's abnormal, right? That's something like a Colorado or something. But your normal college showcases, what do you think that number is? You there? Did you freeze? I think you froze.
You froze. I'm good. I'm clean.
How many you think what you on average that you normally see at a college showcase, just a normal showcase?
Yeah, like I would say, between a regular showcase between 20 and 30, just a regular tournament.
At 1,700 colleges.
Yeah.
And then you guys wonder why. You wonder why you're not getting found.
Well, how about just a local mom and dad's tournament, just a small tournament, local tournament. Maybe one college coach, maybe. How many times have we been out to, like, say, Tempe or Mesa or something like that, and we've been out there and we were the only two people walking around? He froze again. Anyway, but I mean, it happens all the time. So we got to get that. We got to help. We got to change that number. I mean, anyway. So let's wrap it up real quick with one more thing. What do you want to ask me? Since I'm asking you questions all night. Yeah. So out of all your years of coaching, what's been the biggest payoff for you getting players to the next level?
That's a great question, actually. You know what? It's repetition. It's these kids seeking more than one. Let's just talk about hitting, for instance, right? Every hitting coach has got their own philosophy, right?
Yeah.
Every hitting coach has got their own philosophy, and that my philosophy is foot down, hands back, and let it rip, right? That's it. And the thing is that I'm not going to go in and I'm not going to do surgery on somebody because, I'm trying to change something. I'm going to fine tune them. But what I want them to do is go home and work on that on their own.
100%.
I need them to get reps in. I need them to show me video so we continue to talk about it. But most of the time, these kids don't. These players don't. They don't work on their craft. They just expect to get,
the 2 hours of practice, right? There's going to punch a clock like everybody else, thinking.
And they just expect to be good, and they can't because they haven't mastered. I always say you got to master that, right? They haven't mastered. They didn't even come close, and they don't want to put the work in. And we can see that as college coaches. We can see that when we're recruiting them. We know who's putting work in. We know who's not. Shoot, you and I recruited a kid out just hitting off a tee.
100%.
Right? Just hitting off a tee.
100%.
We've recruited somebody. So it's putting in the work. That's honestly what it is for me, is just being repetitious, but doing it on their own.
Yeah. Not
paying, a hitting coach once a week and think they're going to get good. It's not going to happen.
No.
So anyway, I think it was a great intro for our first podcast. I'm looking forward to hopefully next week we can get somebody on here and ask them the difficult questions and let them answer. So you're not hearing Tommy and I shoot air out of our mouth the whole time. But what do you think, T?
Absolutely. I'm excited to get into more of the recruiting process because people don't realize how tough and how stressful it truly is. I mean, it's very stressful, and then hearing from other college coaches, professionals in baseball and softball is going to be a big deal.
Yeah. I'll end with, as an owner of a college recruiting business, I get a lot of kids, a lot of parents are turned off by it because they think, oh, I spent all this money or whatever. And I'm like, you guys have no idea. There are other companies out there that do it, and they may do it for the money or whatever. TAC College Recruitment, we only specialize in baseball, softball. That's what we do. And, our success is literally advising the parents and the athletes to find the school that fits their skill level, right? That fits them academically, geographically. And there's colleges out there that are $7,500 a year all in. They don't know that, but yet they have one college coach that wants them at $65,000, and now they have to pay it.
Yeah,
there's no way. There's 1,700 schools out there. Their tuition is different. So anyway, let's wrap this up. We're gonna come up with some nice verbiage kind of ending our podcast, but we haven't figured that out yet. We're still working on it. But it was great talking to everybody. I hope you guys get something from this. Stay tuned, and we're going to be putting these on YouTube, and hopefully we'll have our website soon. But look for us next week, and with our interviews and just our chitter chatter back and forth. We Tommy and I may get into it every now and again too. You just never know. You never know.
It usually happens just on its own.
Absolutely.
It's the young lion against the old lion.
Anyway, all right, T. We'll see you later, buddy.
All right, thanks.
Bye.